"Adalgo," she called, and her voice echoed like thunder. "You have worshipped your beauty more than your maker. You have shamed the humble. From this day, you shall not see your reflection again. Your face shall turn to what your heart truly looks like. And until you marry a man as ugly as your pride, you shall remain cursed." A long time ago, in a small, quiet village called Umuezebu, lived a girl named Adalgo. Her name meant daughter of an eagle, and truly, she walked like the world belonged to her. She was the only daughter of Mama Chica and Papa Chica, two poor but hardworking farmers. They owned a small piece of land where they grew cassava, maize, and bitterleaf. Every morning, Papa Chica would go to the farm before the sun rose, and Mama Chica would pound fufu or fry gari to sell in the village market. But Adalgo? Adalgo would sleep till the cock crowed 3 times. Then she would rise slowly, stretch her arms, and walk to the small clay mirror hanging beside her mat. "Mirror, mirror on the wall," she would whisper with a giggle, "who is the finest of them all?" The mirror never answered, but Adalgo didn't need a reply. Her beauty spoke for itself. Her skin was the color of fresh honey, smooth and soft. Her eyes were bright and cat-like. Her lips were full and red like ripe agbalumo. Her waist was as slim as a broomstick, and her long, shiny black hair fell down her back like a curtain. When she walked, it looked like music followed her. People said she didn't walk, she floated. But her heart? It was full of pride. While other girls went to the stream to fetch water, Adalgo sat and painted her nails with mashed hibiscus petals. When young women swept the market square for community service, she stayed at home, rubbing coconut oil on her arms and twisting her waist before the mirror. "Why should I sweep?" she would ask with a laugh. "Do queens sweep? Even the broom is not fine enough to touch my fingers." Mama Chica begged her every day, "Adalgo, please help me shell these groundnuts. My back is aching." "Mama," she would hiss, "I can't mess up my nails. Tell Obina to do it. I'm not meant for this kind of suffering." Obina was her younger brother, a quiet boy with a kind heart. He always did as he was told, but even he was tired of Adalgo's behavior. People in the village admired her beauty, but shook their heads. "She is too proud," they said. "She will learn the hard way," said Mama Nkechi, the oldest woman in the village. Adalgo had many friends before, Chiamaka, Ebere, and Ngozi. They grew up together, played 10-10 and suwe together, danced around moonlight fires, and shared roasted corn on rainy days. But as they grew older, Adalgo began to mock them. One day, Chiamaka came to show her engagement ring. "My father has agreed. I'm marrying Uche next month." Adalgo rolled her eyes. "Uche? That boy who sells phone accessories in the market? Your dreams are small, Chiamaka." "Small or not," Chiamaka said softly, "he loves me." "Love cannot buy lace or gold," Adalgo snapped. "You'll see. I will marry a senator or a prince, or even a foreigner, someone who wears perfume, not engine oil." Ebere married a fisherman, Ngozi married a hunter, and Chiamaka married Uche. They were poor, but they were happy. They sang as they cooked, laughed at the riverbank, and smiled even when eating gari and salt. Adalgo laughed at them all. "Look at them, wives of village rats!" She had many suitors, good men with strong backs and kind hearts, but she refused them. One of them even had dust on his shoe, she cried. "How can I marry someone who can't even afford shoe polish?" She waited for her prince. Every market day, she dressed like a rainbow. Bright yellow blouse, red wrapper, silver earrings that sparkled like morning dew. She rubbed her skin with shea butter and added drops of scented oil. Her hips swayed like palm fronds in the wind as she walked past the market stalls. The drummers would pause. The women would look. The men would blink twice. But one day, everything changed. It was the eve of the new yam festival. The market was full. Drummers drummed, masquerades danced, and children sang songs. Smoke rose from grilled meat and fish. Women sold boiled maize and roasted plantain. The air smelled of joy. Adalgo, as usual, came to the market shining like gold. She wore a silver scarf, her lips painted with red oil mixed with crushed kola nut to deepen the color. As she moved through the crowd like a peacock, she didn't see the old woman in her path. She bumped into her, and the woman's basket of bitter leaf and snail fell to the ground. The old woman bent slowly, trembling, to pick up her items. Instead of helping, Adalgo hissed loudly, "Are you blind, old woman? Must you block the road like a stubborn goat? See what you've done to my wrapper. This cloth is from Lagos." The market went silent. Someone whispered, That's Ijeoma the seer, the one who hasn't spoken a word in years. Adalgo turned her back and walked away. But then Ijeoma raised her head. Her eyes turned white like salt. Her lips moved for the first time in a decade. Adalgo, she called, and her voice echoed like thunder. You have worshipped your beauty more than your maker. You have shamed the humble. From this day, you shall not see your reflection again. Your face shall turn to what your heart truly looks like. And until you marry a man as ugly as your pride, you shall remain cursed. Everyone gasped. Some ran. Adalgo looked around and laughed. What kind of village joke is this? Let me go and check my mirror. But when she got home and looked into her mirror, she screamed. Her smooth skin had turned dry and cracked like burnt ground. Her lips were ashy. Her eyes had sunk. Her long hair had fallen in chunks. Her beauty was gone like mist under the morning sun. She ran to the stream to wash her face, but the water showed the same horror. Birds flew away. Children cried, Mama, my face, look at me! Mama Chica fell to the ground in shock. My daughter, this is not the work of man. You have mocked the poor and insulted the old. The gods have given you a mirror of the soul. Adalgo wept day and night. She stopped eating. She covered every mirror in the house. The girls she mocked refused to visit. The suitors never came again. She stayed indoors, ashamed and alone. But the curse had just begun. For weeks, Adalgo remained in her mother's hut, hiding like a wounded animal. She no longer touched palm oil or painted her lips. The mirror that once showed her beauty now reflected something too painful to look at. Her mother tried everything, local herbs, fasting, even the village priest, but nothing changed. One afternoon, when the sun was burning low and the birds were returning to their nests, there was a knock at their door. Knock, knock, knock. Mama Chica opened the door slowly. Standing outside was a strange, scruffy man. His wrapper was torn in two places. His hair looked like a goat had been chewing it. He was dark, short, round, and stooped, with a big stomach that pushed against his faded shirt. One eye looked smaller than the other. His teeth were brown, and he smelled like fermented ojiri mixed with wet dog. He held a crooked walking stick and was sweating heavily. I am looking for the girl called Adalgo, he said, with a loud, broken voice. Mama Chica nearly dropped her broom. Who are you? She asked, her nose wrinkling from his scent. My name is Okongwu, he said with a smirk. The one sent by the gods. I heard she's looking for someone like me. Adalgo, who had been eavesdropping from inside, gasped. This one? This is the man? She peeked through a hole in the wall. Her heart stopped. This man was uglier than anything she'd imagined. She remembered the words of Ijeoma the seer. Until you marry a man as ugly as your pride, you shall remain cursed. Her chest tightened. Her pride wanted to scream no, but her reflection in the water pot reminded her that she had already lost everything. Okongwu entered the house uninvited and sat on the only stool, fanning himself with a piece of torn cardboard. This is where I'll live, he said, scratching his hairy stomach. Where is my wife? Adalgo came out, her head bowed. Her face was full of shame and fear. I'm here, she whispered. The villagers heard quickly. Word spread like wildfire. Adalgo is marrying a beggar. Wonders shall never end. She mocked our husbands. Now she's marrying a toad. The wedding was rushed and quiet. No drummers, no singers, no wine, no joy. Just whispers and pity. Okongwu wore an old singlet and a wrapper tied with a rope. Adalgo wore a faded dress that once belonged to her grandmother. As they left for his hut, someone shouted, Queen of Beauty, your king has arrived. The crowd burst into cruel laughter. Life with Okongwu was no fairy tale. He was uglier on the inside than he looked on the outside. He snored like a tractor. His feet smelled like dead fish. He coughed into the pot when she cooked and wiped his nose with his hands. And he was rude. Wake up, lazy woman. Where is my food, monkey face? You were once beautiful? That must have been a long, long time ago. He didn't just insult her. He ordered her around like a slave. Wash my boxers. Scratch my back. Clean this hut. It smells like you. At first, Adalgo cried every night. Her mother begged her to come back home, but she refused. This is my punishment, she said. I must endure. Soon, something in her began to change. She stopped staring at her reflection and started looking at others. She began helping old women at the stream, something she had never done. She helped Mama Nkechi carry her basket of yam. She fetched firewood for the widow down the road. She greeted children with smiles and gave them roasted groundnuts. Her old friends, Chiamaka, Ebere, and Ngozi, watched from a distance. Slowly, they began to forgive her. One day, she saw Chiamaka struggling with her baby and rushed to help. "I'm sorry," Adalgo whispered, "for everything." Chiamaka wiped her tears and nodded. "We all make mistakes." One market day, while helping Ngozi fry akara, something strange happened. A blind boy tripped and fell in the middle of the road. His mother was too weak to help. People walked past like he was dust. Adalgo ran to him, lifted him gently, wiped the dust from his face, and hugged him. A hush fell over the market. Sitting under a mango tree, wrapped in a brown cloth, was Ijeoma the seer. She had not spoken since the curse, but now she opened her mouth. "It is time," she whispered. "She has learned." That night, Adalgo had a dream. She was walking in a thick forest, crying, when she saw a light. The light became a woman dressed in white, holding a mirror. It was Ijeoma, glowing like the moon. "Adalgo," she said softly, "do you still want your beauty back?" "I do," Adalgo said, "but only if I can keep my new heart." Ijeoma smiled. "Then look." She handed Adalgo the mirror. For the first time in months, Adalgo saw her old face, but this time it looked softer, kinder, brighter. "You are truly beautiful now," Ijeoma said. "Not because of your skin, but because of your soul." The next morning, Adalgo woke up to gasps. Her skin had healed, her hair was thick again, her eyes were bright. She looked even more beautiful than before. Okongwu sat up in bed, shocked. "Eh? What kind of magic is this?" Adalgo smiled and knelt beside him. "Thank you, Okongwu. You were part of my lesson." "But who will wash my wrapper now?" he cried. She laughed and handed him food wrapped in leaves. "You'll survive." The village celebrated. The girl who was once proud had become the village's sweetest heart. But the story wasn't over. The sun had barely risen, yet the entire village of Umwezebu was already buzzing with news. "Have you seen Adalgo this morning? I swear on my yam barn, she is beautiful again. But this time, her eyes are soft, not like before." The villagers gathered at the market square. Old women stood with their walking sticks. Young boys stopped chasing lizards. Girls fetching water paused, buckets on their heads tilted. Adalgo walked slowly down the village path, her face calm, her smile gentle. She wore a simple wrapper with a plain blouse. Her hair was tied back with a small scarf, and her feet were dusty from the road. No makeup, no jewelry, no proud sway in her hips. But still, radiant. As she passed, women bowed their heads in respect. Children ran to her, holding her hands. "Good morning, Auntie Adalgo." She bent to hug each one of them. Once, she wouldn't have dared touch a child with runny nose. Now, she cleaned their faces herself. She reached the mango tree where Mama Nkechi sat, fanning herself. "Mama," Adalgo greeted, kneeling. The old woman placed her hand on her head. "My daughter, you have returned, not just in beauty, but in heart." The market women clapped softly. Then a voice echoed through the square. "Make way! Make way! The prince is coming!" Everyone turned. A long caravan of horses entered the village gate. Men in red wrappers, white beads, and golden staffs led the way. Behind them came a chariot pulled by 4 white horses. In it sat Prince Ebube, the only son of the king of Umunza Kingdom. He wore white robes with golden embroidery. His skin was smooth, his beard trimmed, and his smile gentle but strong. The drummers resumed. Dancers formed a line. Praise singers chanted. But the prince raised his hand. Silence returned. He stepped down from the chariot and spoke. "I have heard of a woman in this village. A woman who was once proud, who fell, but rose again through humility and kindness. I came to see if it is true." He walked through the crowd and stopped in front of Adalgo. Their eyes met. She blinked in surprise. "Me?" she whispered. The prince nodded. "What is your name?" "I am Adalgo," she replied softly. He turned to the crowd. "She is the one." The villagers erupted with joy. Some ululated, others danced in circles, but Adalgo stepped back. "I'm sorry, Your Highness. I'm not the girl you think I am. I have a past, an ugly one. I mocked the poor. I insulted the elderly. I was proud and vain." The prince smiled. "That is why you are the one I seek. For a queen must first learn to serve before she can reign." Mama Chica wept aloud. "God, you have remembered my daughter." Preparations for the royal wedding began. The village had never seen anything like it. Long silks were hung from tree to tree. Giant pots of jollof rice and yam porridge bubbled on firewood. Every tailor worked day and night. Children rehearsed dance steps. The drummers carved new drums. Goats and cows were tied and decorated. But in the middle of it all, Adago disappeared. She had gone back to Okongu's hut. The little house was quiet, the roof still leaked, the floor was still cracked. The smell of ojiri still lingered in the air. She knocked gently. Okongu opened the door, chewing roasted ground nuts. "You again?" he said, squinting. "I came to thank you," Adago said, kneeling. "You were part of my journey." He scratched his stomach. "You're fine now. No need to remember me." Adago smiled. "No, you were a mirror. You showed me my ugliness, not with words, but with your actions. And because of you, I learned." She handed him a package. New clothes, a bar of soap, some coins, and a basket of food. "I want you to come to my wedding." Okongu blinked. Who would invite a toad to the palace? "I would," she replied, "because this toad turned a proud princess into a humble woman." The wedding day came. It was like something from a dream. White cloths lined the village paths. Girls scattered rose petals. Boys drummed until their fingers ached. The king himself arrived with his chiefs. The sky was blue. The birds flew low as if watching. Adago stepped out of her hut in a white and gold wrapper, her hair wrapped with coral beads. Her face glowed, not with powder, but with peace. The prince stood waiting at the altar, his eyes locked on hers. When they exchanged vows, even the trees swayed with joy. Okongu sat in the crowd, wearing clean clothes, looking confused. He wiped his eyes with the corner of his wrapper when she waved at him. Mama Chica danced and danced until her wrapper almost fell. After the wedding, the prince took Adago to the royal palace, but she never forgot Umwezebu. Every month, she returned to visit the poor. She built wells and gave out wrappers. She started a school for girls. She gave Okongu a new hut and paid someone to bathe him regularly, though he always ran away. She never again looked into the mirror to admire herself. Now she looked into people's hearts. This is the end of this story. The moral lesson of this story is, pride builds walls, but humility opens doors. True beauty is not what people see on the outside, it's what they feel. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more. Turn on notifications so you never miss a new video. See you in the next one.